You probably think, when something breaks and the part is out of stock, it's just bad luck. A supply chain hiccup, a shipping delay, maybe even a global shortage. But what if that message, backordered, no ETA, isn't a failure of the system? What if it is the system? Because behind that simple notification is a quiet, calculated mechanism that most people never see. A mechanism that doesn't just delay repairs. It redirects you toward replacement. The hidden mechanism, artificial scarcity through lifecycle cutoffs. Not all part shortages are real. Some are engineered. Manufacturers don't just build products anymore. They build life cycles. And once your product crosses an invisible threshold, parts don't just become harder to find. They start to disappear on purpose. Not overnight, not obviously, but gradually enough that you blame timing, not design. This is the Parts Backorder trick, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Problem number 1, the phantom backorder, the mechanism. You search for a replacement part. It's listed. It exists. But every supplier shows the same thing. Out of stock. Backorder. No timeline. What's actually happening? In many cases, the part hasn't disappeared. It's been deprioritized in production scheduling. Manufacturers allocate factory capacity toward new product lines, not legacy parts, even if the part is cheap to make. It competes with high-margin products, and it loses. So instead of formally discontinuing it, they let it quietly drift into permanent backorder status. Technically available, practically unreachable. The evidence. Look at appliances from 10 to 15 years ago. Older models often had stockpiled parts, standardized components, and third-party compatibility. Now, modern units rely on model-specific parts with short production windows, after 3 to 5 years. Suppliers list parts, but don't actually have them. Manufacturers stop running production batches. Distributors show incoming stock that never arrives. It creates the illusion that supply still exists. Even when it doesn't. The common misbelief. People assume everyone must be buying this part. That's why it's sold out. But the truth is often the opposite. Demand is low, which is exactly why production stops. The consequence, you wait. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into no update. Meanwhile, your appliance sits unusable. And slowly, your decision shifts. Repair stops being practical. Replacement starts feeling inevitable. The insider insight. Technicians see this constantly. They'll tell you, the part technically exists, but good luck getting it, because they know backorder doesn't always mean delay. Sometimes it means dead. Problem number 2, the single point of failure, the mechanism. Older machines were modular. If one component failed, you replace just that part. Modern products? They're built around consolidated assemblies. One failure point takes down an entire system. The evidence. A dishwasher control board fails. In older models, you'd replace a relay, maybe a capacitor. In newer ones, the entire control unit is sealed, and that unit includes multiple sensors, firmware locks, integrated circuits tied to serial numbers. Now, instead of a $10 fix, you need a $300 plus assembly. And guess what? That assembly is often backordered. The common misbelief. People think technology just got more advanced, which is true, but it also got less repairable. Because integration increases efficiency, but destroys serviceability. The consequence, a single cheap failure, triggers a cascade of cost and delay. And when the replacement part isn't available, the entire product becomes functionally obsolete. The insider insight. Engineers know this trade-off. They call it integration risk, but in consumer products, it's not treated as a bug. It's accepted as a feature. Problem number 3, the silent discontinuation window, the mechanism. Manufacturers rarely announce, "We're no longer supporting this product." Instead, they create a grace period. A few years where parts are still available, support still exists. Then quietly, production stops, inventory drains, and listings remain without fulfillment. The evidence. Check parts availability timelines. Year 0 to 3, full availability. Year 3 to 5, limited stock, rising prices. Year 5 plus, backorders, indefinite delays. But the product itself still looks modern, still works, until it doesn't. The common misbelief. People assume, if I bought it recently, it should still be supported. But support is tied to manufacturing cycles, not your purchase date. The consequence, you're stuck in a trap. The product isn't old enough to replace easily, but it's too old to repair reliably. The insider insight. Retailers know this window. It's why extended warranties often align with it, because statistically, that's when failures spike and parts vanish. Pause for a second. If you've ever had something break, only to find the part out of stock everywhere, drop a comment. What was it? Because once you start noticing this pattern, you realize it's not just one brand, it's everywhere. And if you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe. Because what we're about to get into next is where this turns from inconvenience into control. Problem number 4, the service mode lockout, the mechanism. Even when you do get the part, you might not be able to install it, because modern devices increasingly require diagnostic tools, software pairing, manufacturer authorization. After replacement, the system won't function until it's activated. The evidence. Appliances, vehicles, even heavy key systems now include locked firmware, error codes that require proprietary resets, components that must be digitally recognized. Replace a part without authorization? The system may refuse to run. The common misbelief. People think, if I can physically install the part, I can fix it. But now, repair isn't just mechanical. It's permission-based. The consequence, independent repair becomes harder. DIY repair becomes nearly impossible. And even technicians are forced to rely on manufacturer tools, subscription software, authorized channels, which often loop back to the same supply constraints. The insider insight. Technicians call this soft bricking. The device isn't broken. It's locked. Problem number 5, inventory strategy as a sales funnel, the mechanism. Here's where everything connects. Parts availability isn't just logistics. It's strategy, manufacturer's balance, production capacity, storage costs, revenue optimization. And when given the choice between producing a $20 replacement part or a $2,000 new unit, the decision is obvious. The evidence. Look at how replacement parts are priced and stocked. Low inventory, high markups, limited distribution. Combined with delays, it creates friction. And friction drives behavior. The common misbelief. People think, they want me to repair it. But in many cases, they want you to try. And then give up. The consequence, you start doing the math. Wait weeks for a part. Pay high repair costs. Risk another failure. Or just replace it, and that moment, that hesitation, that's the system working exactly as intended, the insider insight. In manufacturing, there's a term, Conversion through inconvenience. You don't force the customer to upgrade. You make staying put just difficult enough. Think about this. How many things have you replaced? Not because they were completely dead, but because fixing them felt impossible? That's not coincidence. That's design. If this is hitting a little too close to home, hit like. And if you've ever walked away from a repair because of a missing part, I want to hear that story. The force multiplier. What insiders do differently. Here's the part most people never learn. The people who understand this system don't play by the same rules. They don't just buy products. They buy repair ecosystems. They look for standardized parts, third-party compatibility, long-term support histories. They avoid proprietary assemblies, software-locked components, brands with short lifecycle turnover. Because they know the real cost of a product isn't the purchase price. It's how long it remains fixable. They'll choose an older design. Because it's still supported, they'll pay more upfront to avoid being trapped later. And most importantly, they assume that one day something will break. Because it always does. Final thought. The next time you see out of stock, don't just think delay, think design, because in many cases, that message isn't telling you what's happening in a warehouse. It's telling you where you are in the product's life cycle. And more importantly, what the system expects you to do next.